Hello everyone, good morning. Okay, today our topic is to explain about. Okay, is it visible, guys? Students? Okay, okay. Our topic is about eco-friendly and innovative remedy of contaminated sites. So this is a very advanced topic, and it also gives some kind of interest towards it because it is involved in our daily life, right? Okay. So there is a definition. What is remediation of soil? First of all, so soil contamination by organic or inorganic pollutants is caused by number of industries. Yeah, in our day-to-day life, we'll face some kind of soil contamination, right? So it may be open dump, landfill, whatever it may. So these kind of soil can be treated by these remediation measures, so that we are using two kind of method, that is physical chemical, that's one of the thing, and bioremediation measures. Yeah, bioremediation measures is very much interested because it's not even causing any kind of danger or damage to the environment, physical or chemical methods sometimes it may cause or it may detain the environment, but in case of bioremediation measures it will never cause any kind of detention, and it also reduces the toxicity. Yeah, you can see here, so the picture of remediation measures you can see here, right? So how a site can be remediated? First of all, digging this deep soil. First of all, the top soil is present over there, and we have to dug out all the topsoil. If it is contaminated, it is found to be contaminated, the first prayer action is to dug out the topsoil. But in case if it is deeply rooted, so what can we do? We have to opt for another method, so that we are going to explain, and even we are going to discuss about those. So characteristics of contaminated sites, you can see here. What is contaminated site? Why we are characterizing everything as a contaminated site? If it is toxic or reactive or corrosive or ignitable, maybe these four things we can say it as a contaminated site, right? So it is given here. Toxicity. No. Toxic. If it is, what is toxicity? First of all, a material is deemed toxic when it produces detrimental amount effect in biological tissues. Yeah. If it causes any kind of damage to our body or any kind of organisms, then it is considered to be toxic. And in this toxic, we can say two types, that is acute toxics and chronic toxic. So, acute toxic is the effect that occurs immediately after the exposure. Yep. For example, we can say it as consumption of alcohol and developing hangover. Yeah. After consumption, you can feel the same thing, right? Hangover, headache, anything like that. So it is called as acute toxicity. And chronic toxicity is something. If you work in a power plant, then the radiation may attack our body, right? So it will be elaborated all over the lifetime. It may reduces the human lifetime even too. So these types of toxicity is called as chronic toxicity, and it may develops cancer cells in our body too. Yeah. So the toxicants dosage is very important thing to be carried out. So everything acute toxic, it may be very dangerous if it is consumed in large amount, but chronic toxicity is very much dangerous if we expose ourselves once in our lifetime. It may affect whole of our lifetime and reduces our age too. Yeah, reactivity. So coming to reactivity, chemical substances, that is acid, bases, or some kind of oxidants are also reactive. Yeah, example, we can say mercury, that is radium also, right? So the radium is reactive in nature. So these kind of radium, if we expose to those, react it's much more reactive in nature, so that it may affect our body condition. So the next thing is corrosivity. Corrosivity is given here, that is pH is lesser than 2. If the pH is lesser than 2 or it is above 12.5, then it may be highly corrosive. right? If the material that is present in the soil, if this consistency of those material present in the soil, it may affect our body condition. So we cannot even use the site. Yeah, contaminated site is also said, by the way, right? So we cannot use the site for any purposes. Yeah, for construction, irrigation, anything we cannot use those. So then finally, ignitability is nothing that if the compound which increases the ignitability of the material, the temperature when it is mixed naturally. Yeah, so if it mixes naturally with the material, it starts to ignite. So oxidant, we cannot say it is oxidant is directly ignitable, but in case of halogen, it may not generate, but it may increases the intensive other combustion process. Yeah, so these are the four types of contaminants should be removed from the soil. So stepwise procedures you can see here: site assessment, determining the remediation method, selecting safety measures, remediating the area, and further evolution. So site assessment. First of all, we have to assess the site. So where it is present here, whatever the it may be. So the site must be first assessed, and remediation method has to be. There are several remediation measures. It may cause some public interest related to that. So the remediation measures has to be suitable for that. If the site is much corrosible, if the site which consists of the soil which is much more corrosive, then we have to choose remedial measures against that and select the safety measures. So safety measures is we are exposing ourselves to the site, right? So we have to suit up ourselves for this site. So that is the third thing. And fourth thing is remediating the area. So applying the method we have been practiced, right? So if the environment is somewhat corrosive, we have to remediate the area by our measures. Finally, evaluation is none other than testing the sample. Yeah, if the site is, first of all, it's known for if the site is known to be acidic, right? So we are making some kind of remediation measures. And finally, reserve for further evaluation, what we have to do after remediation measures, we have to check the soil sample, water sample, groundwater sample, whatever it may. So we have to check it out. So this is the stepwise procedure of land remediation measures. Yeah. So this is the first thing I have said. So what is it given here means the soil which is topsoil. If it is just topsoil, then we can dug it out. The second thing is if it is deeply rooted, we have to opt for another methods, that is chemical dispersion method, deflocculation, chemical washing. So there are further away many methods to be done. So we have to opt for those. In situ and ex situ remediation techniques. So in situ, what do you mean by in situ remediation measure? So if we are treating our soil sample in the site itself, then it is called as in situ remediation technique. If we are taking out the soil samples, or if we are taking out the whole soil material to another site and remediating those and coming back to the site, then it is called as ex situ remediation techniques. And there are a few other methods which is given here. We'll just see it in brief. Yeah, surface capping. I will never say it is a remediation measure, but it is just better than that open dumping process. Landfill capping, it is given here, right? So the contaminated soil, if a contaminated soil is present in a site, so and you can see that right in the picture, you can see clean soil. If it is present in the lower area, then we can cap it out, right? So we can cap it out those, and the waste material can minimize the percolations of rainwater, so that no other rainwater or any kind of water materials can enter into the site. So it is a surface capping method. And another thing is encapsulation method. So this encapsulation method is much suitable for some of the hazardous waste, such as radioactive waste, you can say, and some of the power plant waste, we can say that. So it is hazardous to the nature, right? So we can encapsulate those. So waste disposal methods of packing them into a container. You can see it in a picture. So it is like concrete or whatever it may. We can use concrete or any other plastic or steel or any burial storage container. But it is not a best method. We just log those hazardous material, but it is a threat to the world. Okay, then the third method is soil flushing. So soil flushing is some of the important process. Yeah, because if a site is present to be, if a site starting from this place, from the contaminated site is present here. if a site is present here, the injection well is inserted here, right? So we have to use the flushing material solution which is precipitated before itself, so that after precipitation process we have to inject those by injection wells. And okay, so through the injection wells we have to insert those material, that is flushing material, which I have prepared, right? So to the site, after that some submersible pump is also present here, so to take out all the samples from there. Okay. Soil washing methods. So it is a ex situ method that removes the hazardous contaminants from the soil by washing the soil. So it is a ex situ method. As I said before itself, it is a ex situ method. So you have to take out the soil, but it is very suitable for very smaller site, not for larger sites. We can take. And we can take it to another place where chemical additives can be added to the place and scrubbing the soil. After that, separations of clean soil from the contaminated sites can be done. After cleaning that, we have to add those back in the sites. And electrokinetic extraction. Electrokinetic extraction gathers some of the interest, public interest, because it is something efficient, because it involves in the new technique, that is advanced method for treating the contaminated land. Electric current is passed over the places, so the migrations of charges can takes place, right? So in fine grained soil, pore water flows in are induced, so it is much suitable for the places where volatile organic compounds are present. What do you mean by volatile organic compounds? They are toxic in nature, right? So those volatile organic compounds may cause ignitability. So it may be remains ignitable. So that what we are going to do is volatile components can be removed by this electrokinetic extraction, right? Soil stabilization and solidification. It's very common method, and it's not used in our countries, but it is used in some other foreign countries. Yeah. So where the polluted soil is mixed with water and some kind of additive, so to make it as an adhesive content. So after make it as an adhesive content, it can turns to a solid. Yeah, it is similar to that of encapsulation method as we saw before itself. So, and where the container is present, here the container is not present because the particles itself made to be an adhesive thing and forms as a layer like that. So these method usually do not destroy the contaminants, but it also makes the contaminant to be stable. That's it. So phytoremediation. So phytoremediation is a content of bioremediation measures that uses various types of plants to transfer. Yep. For example, we can say, right, Indian mustard removes the radioactive elements. Yeah, Indian mustard. If we take those Indian mustard seeds, so that if we plant in those area, then the radioactive elements will be sucked out via this place, right? So that ferns removes arsenic from the soil. So ferns is also we grow ferns, right? So those ferns can even act as a bioremediator here itself. So that is phytoremediation method. It is very useful and easy, cost efficient, sustainable method comparing than other methods. And finally, coming to our bioremediation method. What do you mean by bioremediation method? This method combines both phytoremediation and bioremediation. And in particular bioremediation method, we can say that as we can use microbes, bacteria, or some other kind of microorganisms. They can convert the toxic content, so that they can precipitate even, right? They'll thrive in the area. They will thrive in the area, so that they can convert those higher particle material into lower particle material. They'll break down the chain like that. So they will convert into, if for example we can say it as copper sulfate. Some of the copper extraction company like Sterlite, right? So they will use the copper extracts. So from the copper extract, the microbes can be used for those cyanobacterium. So some of the kinds of microbes, if they thrive in the situation, they separates the cuprous sulfate and copper again. So the copper can be used for further process. If it is remains as a cuprous sulfate, then it would be toxic to the environment. Okay. So okay, these things after containing to all of the methods, we are going to see the case study first of all. So, case study first, what we are going to say is about thermal power project threatens India. This is actually it's a journal. Yeah, you can see in Ratnagiri districts of the Maharashtra, it is well known for mangoes. That is Alfonso mango. You may heard the name Alfonso mangoes. Yeah, right. So the local farmers are dependent on the cultivation and foreign imports. They are much interested in foreign imports. What had happened is in 1991 on that time. So every year that they have to issue a kind of certificate for foreign export. That is, you can see here for food cert. It is a kind of certificate. So they have to issue the certificate. The government, that is UK or European government, they have to issue a certificate for those mangoes. So every year they are giving this certificate and they are importing the mangoes. It's been happening for many years. But once what happened in 1991, the certificate is rejected. Yeah, for the mangoes it got rejected. People doesn't know what's happening here. So the farmers of the area, they are much suffocated because their living is based on those exports and imports here. So they cannot do anything, right, on the place. Yeah, I can see here. So finally it is found that finally it is found it is there is a thermal power plant idea which is going to be there in Maharashtra on the site. There was just an opening. They have not even fulfilled that idea, but they have started some of those. But on that idea they started to burn coal. So it affects all of those cultivation nearby by irrigation water. Yeah, they damage the irrigation waters, and contaminations are even present in the groundwater also. You can see here emissions of the elements infiltrated the vegetations via local dust. Yeah, you can see here land, coal dust, irrigation water, and groundwater. So this certificate is must for the entry into European market. So the people in the region allege that these people started to strike against the industry. Yeah, so to ban their product as their product got banned. So once what happened, the case showed the ill effect of land contamination on the time to the whole nationwide. So finally, what happened in 1991, the Maharashtra government declared it as a horticultural preferred area. So the government also saw that so much of people are depending upon their, even more you can see here for 450,000 people are dependent in this horticultural sector. Yeah, so these much of plantations population are depending upon those cultivations, right? So they just stopped those industry from the JSW. Can even Google it down. So JSW thermal effect, so that it affected the mango cultivation for recent years. But even I think so, 2014, April 2014, they lifted the ban for those Alfonso mangoes because yeah, the industry had stopped, right? But the effect of those industry even thrive for these years, right? So it happened. Case study 2, that is Ghaziabad industry. So the people in the Ghaziabad reported that their water, underground water, borewell water was yellow color. Yeah, if the water is in yellow color, then what people can do, right? So the residents have filed a complaint against an administration claiming the groundwater in this area was contaminated. So the residents have claimed chemical something is present over there. So after checking those for the chemical, even the groundwater, even we are checking with the samples, it is found that chromium hexavalent chromium, yeah, six. It's like six chromium six. It is present over there in the contaminated the groundwater. How it happened? Yeah, it happened due to the fan industry, fan production. Yeah, ceiling fan production industry, which is placed in Ghaziabad newly. So due to the effect, the groundwater of the area got totally contaminated. They started to dump their waste in an area where it leaches to. What is leaching? So after landfilling, after landfilling process, the waste gets down. The waste which is retained on the lower level, right? So it leaches down to the groundwater and also contaminated the groundwater. It just happened. So what is the remedy they had made? So chromium 6 is a strong oxidizing agent and present in organic matter reduced. So we have to change it. It is a precipitate, right? So in this method they had undergone a process such as microbial bioremediation. By microbial bioremediation method, they converted the chromium 6 into chromium 3. Yeah, you can see here, they just reduce the process with the help of microbes. Yeah, you can see microbial reduction of hexavalent chromium as a mechanism of detoxification. So, by the detoxification methods, the microbes thrive in those environment and reduce the chromium effect to the chromium 3. So, finally, the chromium 3 got precipitated, right? So, it can be easily remediated, or it can be easily remediated, removed, whatever it may. So, it happened. Then finally, case study 3. So we can say. So case study 3 is very similar to you, I think so. That is Pallikarnai wetland. So you may heard about that, right? So it is in Chennai. So what is happening in Pallikarnai is it is basically a wetland. All over the years, it's been a wetland, and there are so much of lakes over there. So you may heard about that Jameen Pallavaram lake. You may heard like that. So there are so much of lakes in Velacheri. So there are so much of lakes present over there. So what is happening? People can't build a residence on in this wetland. So what just happened means they just dumped all of the municipal solid waste from the metropolitan, and in that in the wetland area, where the wetland is usually a birds migrant or birds breeding area, but they just dumped everything in there area. It is very tough for the activists. They just worried about that. They over expanding dumping yard, yeah, because it is a really a beautiful site, but they made the site as a very ugly and uh, waste area. So therefore the open dumps move to, yeah, it's the area is given here, right? 131.55 hectares of land abutting villages. So it started from here and also up to the, yeah, you can see the picture here, right? So what is happening, the people residing here are also very susceptible for some of the diseases such as respiratory problems, whatever it may. So these people are also collecting those things from here, but this area is very nasty by now. So what people, Chennai people have said, and after, due to their petitions and activist sayings, what is happening? The civic body is planning to start the remediation measures in garbage is being dumped. So they started to remove the garbage or remove the municipal solids from the area to another area. So after that, we can start the remediation measures. They said like that. So you people, if you are interested, you can even say your remediation measures to the to the authorities, higher authorities, because it's just a what to say, it is public interest. Yep, it is our problem. Pallikarnai wetland is our problem basically. So people like students like you and all of us can suggest an idea to the government regarding the problems, and if you are much more interested towards that, we can show up even result, it may even result in a good deeds, right? So we can move to the next thing, that is eco-friendly remediation. So eco-friendly remediations, due to the case studies and the types of remediations we have saw, right? So nowadays bioremediations is much more considered because it's not damaging any kind of environment, and we have not seen anything about chemical remediation. There are so much of chemical remediations are also present. So what do you mean by chemical remediation? Using chemicals to the land so that it may gets remediated. But even if you are using the land chemicals, it may even infiltrate into groundwater, and also it seeps to the groundwater, and even it causes another kind of contamination. So that I have not mentioned the chemical contaminations and the chemical remediation measures here, right? So yeah, we are going towards eco-friendly remediation measures. Nowadays, bioremediation measures is claiming the public interest, and it is present view review. The eco-friendly, cost-effective methods is much more interested, and if final year students or third year civil students, whatever, they are chemical students even too. So these people can even do a project regarding the land remediation measures, right? So you can even identify this site and you can remediate the site by your ways. So you can say an idea, suggest an idea, so that it may even goes into this many funded project, etc., right? In addition, these organisms are capability to the, if you are speaking about bioremediation measures, cyanobacteria I said, right? So cyanobacteria approach for the removal of these contaminants in an efficient tool for sustainable development and pollution control. Yeah. Finally, conclusion. So, selection of the most appropriate remediation techniques must coincides with the environmental characteristics of the sites. Risk to human health and the environment at the site must be reduced. Yeah. If we are going towards a site, so we have to suit it up for those events. So, enhance sustainability for the remediation process. It encouraged for the future researchers too. So, the use of the novel soil remediation. So, novel is none other than
கிளாஸ் யார் கிளாஸு எனக்கு கிளாஸு நீ ஊர் சுற்றிட்டு செல்லப்படாத ஊர் சுற்றி கேட்டுட்டு காக்கா போகணும் ஊட்டுனா
முத்துக்குமாரி மைக்கை மியூட் பண்ணுங்க.
முத்துக்குமாரி மைக்கை மியூட் பண்ணுங்க.
Hello. Okay. Okay. So that the use of these novel soil remediation methods in the is also claiming the public interest, so that you can suggest an idea for other remediation methods. This webinar is very simple explanation about the land remediation measures, right? So it is also having some kind of if we speak about the permeable reactive barrier, then it would be a large vast topic. We have to get some more time regarding this topic, right? So it is very basic and introduction for this thing. So if you are having any kind of doubt, you can ask me now.
ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் ஏதாவது டவுட்டில் கிளாரிஃபிகேஷன்
ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் ஏதாவது டவுட்டில் கிளாரிஃபிகேஷன் சொன்னால் கேட்கலாம். ஸோ அதர்வைஸ் யூ கேன் வைண்ட் அப்.
யாராவது கொஸ்டின் எதாவது கேட்க போகிறீங்களா? ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ மேம்.
ஓகே,
செஷன் வைண்ட் அப் பண்ணிக்கலாம்.
Okay, sir.